Insanity. In this part, we will explore the solution to the problem that I laid down. Now, one of the things that we must consider is that what insanity exactly is. Like, what is it in its actuality, in its essence? Insanity itself one can say that you're just not complying with the natural, the consensus of society. Basically, not doing what society wants you to do. Now, that's insanity. That in itself is insanity. Now, insanity can have multiple layers as well. Like, unawareness is a part of insanity. That's what I think, because uh, a guy who is not aware of even his own wrongdoings can be in a way insane, like not full blown mentally insane or whatever, but he would have the insanity in some aspects of his acts, where he does not know the fallacy which lies in his acts, which is what we are going to explore of how do we detect those fallacies. Now, insanity in itself is a very, this in itself is, it being problematic is very subjective, because for one, it might be problematic, but for the other, it might be good. Not even for the insane guy himself, but for another. For example, if a guy who does not believe that children should be sacrificed in an Aztec American society would be considered, I don't know, an insane, whatever guy, right? If he believes in 21st century ethical values, he would be considered an odd guy. But for us, he would be like not insane. He would be, you can say he was far behind his, like, far from his time that he lived in. But at the same time, how do we define what insanity is good and what insanity is bad? Because in a way, even as they say, a king who basically rules over the blind, a one-eyed king, and this idiom is used as the king being at least the last good thing in the whole society of blind people. Even if we analyze that, the king is insane in a way, because the whole society has another, you can say, standard of living, and the king is something else. Even though you can understand what I'm trying to say, right? Going against the grain, against the flow itself. Even politically, if we say, even in archaeology, people who believe that human antiquity is a real thing, civilizational antiquity is a real thing, are considered insane and conspiracy theorists. Similarly, politically, people who believed like in stuff like 9/11 is an inside job and whatnot, they were considered conspiracy theorists. And you know what it's turning out to be. So, insanity, the pleading of insanity in itself is a very, you can say, subjective term. But how do we define what insanity is good and what insanity is bad? We cannot really come towards a conclusion of that in a, you can say, in a purely logical manner, because there should be some things which we should accept as it is, like certain moral values. Like, if we say, if a guy does X, Y, and Z, he is not insane. Now, those X, Y, and Z does not necessarily to us logically. Like, for example, you cannot logically explain me why lying is good, bad. You can't. You have no other. You have no way to explain to me why lying is bad, except for social contract or whatever. But these things are not logically viable. If a guy lies and he does not get caught for it, that would mean that the guy has basically is in an aggregate benefit, right? He is at an advantageous position. If a guy commits war crimes and whatever and gets away from it, he is like at a total advantage. Then you cannot logically explain to me why what he did was logically wrong, because he benefited from it. At least he gained something from it. So we have to come towards certain, you can say elements which are to be accepted in a consensus, right? So there are three things that, at least now, I'm not an expert in any of the things I'm discussing. Obviously, these three things that I've come towards are on my own, like understanding. I can be wrong and whatnot, but these three things I'll explore. The first would be class consciousness, right? The not class consciousness. I'm not the Marxist, you know, thing, but you can say the social consciousness. If are you applying your potential to what the society considers you to apply it to? If you don't, then you're an insane, because that's one of the only ways where you are either insane or you're not insane. So the point being, if you don't go against the flow, if you go with the flow and you don't go against the grain, and you are with the grain and you comply with your society, then you're not insane. Meaning, if you're going insane, or a way to see if you're going insane or not, the most pertinent and the most, beneficial way for you to see if you're going insane or not is to see if you're going against the society you're born in or not. Like, for example, if you're seeing what your society expect you to do and you're not doing that, the further away you're from that, the more towards insanity you are. At least that's the first solution to the insanity problem, in my opinion. The second is psychological theories, which form certain foundations, fundamental foundations for you, upon which you can build your criteria. For example, I can quote Jung for you, Carl Jung. I've read his book Man and His Symbols, and I've not read any other book of his, but this book is basically an encyclopedia of his thought, written by himself at the end of his life, and four other of his students. It was a combination of studies. Mostly it was this book was written to explain his thought to the layman people like me and you, so we would have an easier time reading his other works. Jungian ideas basically are not like Freud. I've not read Lacan enough to say something about what he would have. But Jungian thought basically provides an undercurrent of an objective foundation upon which you can build whatever it is. So you can believe in a certain theory, like Jung's theory, which is objective. Jung says basically that one of the ways you can take a lead and help yourself and see and basically lead, which can lead to self-actualization and your therapy, is through dreams and through symbols. The symbols within your dreams and certain of these things like that happen in your life. Jung believes they are not consequences at all, a lot of these things. These are symbolic things. Jung basically believes that consciousness itself is something objective, okay, and it's timeless as well. And there's a part of our brain, the subconscious, and Jung believes there is unconscious and subconscious. Jung believes the unconscious part of your brain is basically the objective one, as long as I'm aware, if I remember correctly. Jung says that unconscious part of your brain basically tries to communicate with your conscious part of your brain, and the only way it communicates is through symbols, within dreams, or sometimes not with your dreams, but mostly with your dreams, and sometimes through euphoria, and you may hear a voice, or you may like whatnot. But that's how basically this objective thing communicates with you. Now Jung says if you comply with with what it demands from you, you will be good. You will be okay then. Like the answer to your insanity is basically understanding what your unconscious is trying to communicate with you, and trying to understand it, and trying to basically comply with its demands. So this is like the second method. I'm not gonna furthermore like bore you with Jungian psychology, but this is what he basically says, right? So I might make a video or two on Jung sometime in the future. I'm too lazy to make any videos. This video itself, I'm making it to so I won't forget this idea which comes to me, and then I forget it and comes to me. So it's basically I'm archiving this footage so for the future. I don't know for what, but yeah. The third is which is what at least humans have been using throughout the period, which you can say has correlates and sometimes is directly the same thing with the collective, you can say the social consensus or social conscious, right? Which is theological. The theological foundations upon which you try to kind of build your criteria to whether you're insane or not, right? Meaning if you treat someone bad, you're probably that's a big no-no. So you are given a book, and you have to kind of like walk through that and try to follow whatever the book tells you. Meaning you have an objective criteria upon which you have to walk, and if you are going outside of that criteria in any way, and if you're going like out of that, then that would be a problem for you, and you might be like a sinner, or you might go towards acts which lead you to insanity. Insanity itself, I discussed, is a very fluid concept, but if one tries to define its essence, it is basically going against the grain and not being what society expects you to be. A madman is someone who does not understand that he is going against the society. That's what the difference between a criminal and a madman is. This is the difference. Whether you know what you're doing is wrong or you don't know. You don't know, it might be a mistake, but if it's a persistent thing, then you're a madman. Then you're mentally insane. So I personally think the third one might as well, if you believe in an objective theological, criteria, which I do. So the third one might as well, fit the, you can say standard, but I'm not exactly sure because I haven't really come to a conclusion about it. But this is at least what I've been thinking, and I think I came across this, as these three basically options as an answer. So do let me know what you think about it, and yeah, so meet you in some other video. I don't know when.